Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second live stream here on freehumans.world. My name is Luciana Petrei, and we have a lot to do. And before I actually show you what we're going to do today, we're going to go into the tasks that we didn't finish last time in the first episode. And I will just share the screen here. 1 second. And yeah, I hope you can see the screen. Okay, so we have a few tasks that I wrote down here. I fixed the usernames problem, but I want to enhance this a little bit. And before we actually go into this, I want to make sort of like a tradition for this live stream and start every episode with some sort of wisdom or some sort of message that I think is important and relevant for today. For the period of time that we are living, we are basically in a crisis. And I know that a lot of people will agree with me. Some of you will disagree, but even though maybe it's not obvious for everyone, we are in a crisis. And I've shown this with a little video that I began in the first episode. If you didn't see it, you should check it out and go to the first part of the video and see that video. It's very important. All right, so let's go and see this video. It's a message. It's basically a movie that is very, very important for me, and it's starting with Charlie Chaplin. You may have heard of this movie. It's called The Great Dictator, and this is the most important part of the movie, and it's legendary. It's a legendary speech that he performed in this movie. Even though the movie, as you may know, Charlie Chaplin only did movies without voice, right? So this was one of those movies where sound was present, but he was not speaking mostly, and then there's this speech. So I don't want to give too much spoilers. Let's just see the video.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives. tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Okay, I'm back. So this is one of the messages that I keep playing now and then, just to remind me of
Hello and welcome to
the mission and basically the principles that guide the mission here at freehumans.world. And we are also trying to basically create an open source movement with this initiative, because this kind of project is I tried for a year and a half to get some support, some funding from the private sector, from angel investors, VCs, traditional funding methods, and I applied everywhere possible. And even though it was the bear market last year, that's a given. The market has just started recovering, so the investor sentiment is now changing a little bit towards the positive, but still there's a lot of negativity and fear because of all the scammers that have taken advantage of blockchain technology, NFT, all the good stuff, right? Whenever there's a new technology that comes out, everyone will jump in to use it to trick people that don't know much about it and are very easily impressed by new things, right? And this can happen to anyone. I mean, as long as you don't know something about a particular area or type of business or idea or any project, as long as you don't really understand all the parts, all the intricate parts and the systems behind it, and the people, eventually the most important part are the people behind it, right? So if the people don't have certain qualities, they don't show that they are open, they are transparent and open source, and they do everything closed source, traditional private patents, I would not go to support or to invest in such. I mean, there are exceptions, but even if you think about, like, for example, Tesla, Elon Musk, right? Like, most of the technologies that went into designing and creating the Tesla cars are open source. And a lot of stuff, I mean, you may already know this because of the scandal, the lawsuit that Elon Musk filed against OpenAI, right? A company that he found that he was one of the founders that put his own money in there. And the reason why he's suing OpenAI is because They promised in the beginning, in the founding document, that it will be an open source initiative, an open source mission to create open source AI. And as soon as they had something that was, I guess, better than anything that was available on the market, they switched to closed doors, closed patents, everything. Got a lot of funding from the private sector. A lot of VCs jumped on it, and so Microsoft jumped on it, and that's like, be careful there, right? If Microsoft jumps on something, something is going down, right? And it's usually, I don't want to say good or bad. I'm just want to say that um, there's an opportunity to, let's say, make a lot of profit, which is not necessarily made in a sustainable or way that impacts everyone positively. They don't really care about everyone, right? They care about profit. So, having said that, I want to go back to our tasks and try and see how much we can finish in 1 hour. I decided to make the episodes 1 hour because I don't think I can sustain this for 2 hours every day. It's a little bit intensive. So this is the interface. If you haven't already seen it, it's available to see it on w3x.info. This is a simulation that I can actually show you guys, but this was the link. And you can visit the interface. You can see the profile, can play with the interface, check out most of the functionality. There are some sounds. This is the inventory, notifications. The market section can be accessed, right? Um, this is how you post something, right? The search, you can play around. Now, this part that I finished in December, before the deadline that I set for myself, is basically called the front end, right? The part is basically loaded on the browser or in the app on the client side. So this was finished, and of course there will be a lot of other small features that will be added to complete this. It's not perfect, but as we add functionality, we will do this along the way. So the first thing that we want to do, I think, in a social network that is Web3, right, or any social network for that matter, is to have a user management system, and then we'll try to get them talking to each other, following each other. Um, First, establishing a connection, like for example on Facebook, you would have a friend request, right? On Instagram, following request, whatever. It's basically the same thing. It's sending a request to connect, and the other person has to accept it. Otherwise, it's just half there, right? I'm requesting and following that person by default, I guess. This is a discussion where we can get into dark pattern design versus the other one, white pattern design, right? This one is not actually coined or very popular, but dark pattern design is out there in the terminology for web designers and UI UX designers. So, do we allow the user that clicks this plus button, right? And you can see what happens when I click plus, or when I click again, I'm disconnected, right? This is the user experience. But on the back end, nothing happens, right? Because it's not connected to a database. So basically, I have to do this part in order to have a fully functioning feature for this network, right? So I will show you basically, I will go into the backend, into what I have created with ScyllaDB, TypeScript, and Node.js, and a lot of other packages that we need for this. And I will basically start from this. So we do have to make sure that first we can create this request. Let's just go to the to the tasks that I have here. So last time I worked on this and I got a little help from Copilot, which I have integrated as an extension in Visual Studio Code, which is my editor. This is Visual Studio Code. And I'm editing this file here called user controller .ts. All right. So I'm not going to go into all of the structure of the app. I did this a little bit last time, I think. If not, uh, let's just go and move and go ahead with the username improvement that we need to do. So we created basically a way here to add users in a database, and it worked. I can show you. Basically, I added 10 different users based on exotic animal names, and we created basically an email just by adding uh, at freehumans.world. This is all mock data, it doesn't matter. And then I created basically a full name. Actually, Copilot created this function. I just told it to do this. So basically, the name is capitalized username and Smith, like in the Matrix, right? So Agent Smith. All right, so let's see. Where were we? So I had to do a little debugging yesterday for this, but now what I need to do, I don't want to use this function here only once when the application is started. Instead, what I want to do is create a post method to add usernames from Postman. So I have already created an array here that I want to send at this URL locally. This is a post method, and I'm using basically raw JSON, and I'm sending an array to this URL. So if I say something like, let's see, if I want to type this here, add users to, I just want to, yeah, okay. Only thing is that I don't want to use comments, so I'm going to use export. There we go, all of it. And I can comment this one. So as you can see, Copilot understood what I want to do here. And now I'm handling just like all the other get or post methods that I have in this file above. I'm handling this URL and I'm getting the usernames, but I don't think it knows exactly how am I sending the usernames. So what I have to do is I'm going to copy this array here and I'm going to insert this function, Control I, and I'm going to say the data comes in an array like so. I used shift there to not enter the command and just create a line break. Shift enter. So let's see if it knows. If it knows, yep, is array. Okay, let's accept this for now. So let's see what it does. In fact, I'm gonna use Control I / explain, enter, and it's gonna tell me here in the chat, I think. Okay. So the provided TypeScript code is part of the Express application, of course. So the add users function takes an Express application instance as an argument. Inside this function, a new route is defined using app post, the first argument. Okay, so the route is add users. It's correct. And the subsequent arguments are middleware function, of course, like the limiter that I'm using. Okay. The main logic, okay, and taking the request and the response. If the username's property is valid, it generates emails and full names for the users. The emails are generated by appending. Okay, so it is generating full names and emails, but is it generating the language like we have here? So it's not. So what I want to do now is, if I have this inserted here, Control I, add language like in the um, insert users function here. So where does it take languages from? It takes it from, no. So it doesn't need to take it from here. Um, let's try regenerate. No, it still takes it from. So this is not correct, because I don't want to use, I mean, not necessarily incorrect, but I don't want to send the languages, or you know what? I can do that, but I just want to set the language to, no, set the language on this code that I think is going to act on the suggestion, and I set the language randomly from the above variable, like in the insert users function. It's even worse. I mean, random languages. Hmm. No. So I think what I want to do instead is I want to use this function, insert users, right? So instead of all this, what I want to do is I'm going to accept it, but I'm going to delete everything in here. And I'm going to say, no. I mean, yeah, this, I can use this usernames, but what I want to do is I want to call this function in here, right? Let's just do, I didn't know how to go to the next. No. No. What I want to do is, let's insert users, see if it knows. Okay. Okay, so maybe this should work. I mean, I'm not sending a response back, but let's see if it knows. Okay. Oh, sorry. Tab. Added successfully. Wait. Let's try. Right. So I'm holding down Alt and the straight brackets, right? Going through what it can. What are the options for this line? So what I want to do actually is I'll just use a message like this. It's okay, because I can check the database if it's correct. But this one, so instead of calling it here, we have emails. We have, you know what? I'm gonna use only. Sorry. So I'm gonna use emails. Full names, I think. Full names above, and the usernames come from me as an array. Is it correct? Yes, it's correct. All right, so one of the four tasks I think will be completed soon. So this is going pretty good. Let's try and test it. So I'm saving this, running it again. See if I get any errors. I guess not. That took a while. Okay, so let's check the database first. And yes, we have the users, but do we also add languages in here? No, the languages come directly in this function, so it's all good. I think it should work. So what we should do is truncate um, table users. Now, empty. And if this works, what I have to do is just click send, and we have an error. So there's always something, right? Let's see. Unexpected token. Oh, probably what I'm sending here is there's something wrong with. Probably not. Maybe not sure what the problem is, but position one. Oh, I think it's because of this, because maybe it should be quotation marks. I'm not sure. Can I replace? So let's try again. Yes, or not. uh, let's see. Another error. I'm gonna clear this because I don't understand what it's saying and push it again. Okay, so this time we don't have an error, but oh, okay. It again, send it, and nothing happens. I think I know why. I mean, there's always something like, for example, here. Yeah, so it's trying to access this, but it's not coming. Maybe like this, access it directly. There's no key name usernames, right? So, but we can do it like that. I guess we can change it here. And what will happen is we add closing brackets and usernames like this. Send. Cannot post. But why? We have the emails. We have username. Let's do a console. Yeah. No. Okay. Let's run it. No console log. So it doesn't even get to this point. So there's something. Okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we have to call this, but we cannot call it here. Save this. Go to the app TS, and user controllers, add users. Also, but I think here again. Yeah, that was the problem. I didn't see it in the beginning because when I created this function, I was very, very excited that Copilot knew how to create the function. And I missed the fact that this is a function that needs to be called somewhere in order to have this method active listening. So because that worked, now we need to check the database. Let's see. So we have emails, we have names, we have this, date, and the usernames. Everything is perfect. Okay, let's see. What is the next step? So if we go to user controller, update UI to show correct username and name on profile page. Okay, we can do this. Seems easy enough. All right, so I think I'm gonna leave this the same here. I'm not gonna change anything. It's good to add a lot of comments and document everything you do. At this point, because this is the testnet, the most important part to document for me is, and the first logical part is the architecture, basically, especially for the backend, the database, right? And I start with table users and user sets and user fault and user actions and email code and the shares for the private key. If you don't know about this from the previous episode, which where I said something about SSS and its Shamir secret sharing. Well, you can go and catch up on that in the first episode. And the structure that I use is I'm trying to use a mind map. This is called a mind map because this software is called Xmind. And because the database is getting really, really complex, it's not a simple interface or a simple backend. This will get it's not necessarily complex in as how many tables or columns it has, or just the complexity of each individual type of data that you can save, or the specificity of it. But it's more it's more important and critical regarding performance and security. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm using ScyllaDB, although the goal for this application is to eventually make it fully decentralized. So in order to make it fully decentralized, I'm researching things like libp2p.io. If you don't know what this is, it's a very awesome project. These are the guys behind Internet File Protocol, Ethereum, DApp, some DApp technology infrastructure. All the big guys, all the big players have worked with these guys. Filecoin, everything is based on some work that some of these people involved in this project have done, and they have contributed a lot to. And this is, I mean, I'm understating this because I'm not sure how to express the value and the impact of this type of work that it will have in society, internet infrastructure, the way we communicate and use services and interact with each other virtually as a species. Uh, we need decentralized protocols. We need more decentralization. We need better technology that manages itself, right? But that is safe and that is basically empowering us to have more autonomy and more ownership, as opposed to giving up ownership and giving up the decision power to a single corporation, right? To a single company, to a single government. So that's dictatorship. That's like totalitarianism. It's like that's not going to work. We need, I mean, the governments are not that competent in delivering solutions for the problems that we are facing today as a species. So we need better solutions. We need technologies like this to mitigate the costs of all the efforts that engineers are doing in society trying to fix the shit that the old generation has left us with, right? Because I'm sorry to excuse my French, but I mean it's true. Like we have been basically for a couple of decades now, or I could say for the last 200 years, been pillaging and plundering this planet to basically either to provide a grid service or to provide some sort of service or gadget. And companies that are doing this, like I'm not even talking about the modern companies like Amazon or Google or Google Cloud. These companies that offer data centers that we rely on for our services today. I'm talking about like really old stuff, like the power grid, for example, or we are dependent on a grid that is supported or maintained by just a few companies, right, worldwide. And if they shut down this grid, we are back to the Stone Ages. Or if some event happens, like an AI, a virus, I don't know, like asteroid, if grid goes down, there's no alternative for us, for anyone in society. We are on our own. They will not be able to repair this fast enough before everything degrades and everyone starts robbing, pillaging and plundering shops and people on the street, right? Because nothing will work. Like the banks, you cannot move money, you cannot transfer, you cannot do anything. So these systems offer more redundancy and robustness. Like I think this is one of the reasons why Elon Musk has created Starlink, that a constellation of microsatellites in Earth's orbit, which is basically, I don't know, over 20 or 30,000 microsatellites. I think we can Starlink live. I don't know. Is there something? Last time I checked, there was something, right? To see all the satellites. I didn't click it. All right. There's an app actually. So Elon Musk has created with SpaceX. If you don't know, this is the amount of microsatellites that he has already placed into orbit, and he's putting a little bit more. And basically, he's putting more because I think some of them go down or are malfunctioning, so he has to supply them from time to time. But this is a genius idea and a scary idea at the same time. It's genius because it will provide redundancy. Like if we need some sort of support backup system for everything, if the 40-year-old COBOL mainframes become, I don't know, unaccessible, they are shut down or blocked or attacked for some reason with quantum computers or something, and we cannot transfer money anymore with the classical traditional banking system. How are we going to transfer value? How are we going to function as a society? We need a safety net. We need more alternatives, more projects like we are doing here at freehumans.world. Will be launched on this domain. And so we need projects like Lippy2P. I really, if you are a developer, I really, really invite you to check it out and see basically what it's about. There are also, if you don't know, web containers, way to run applications in the browser. This is how they run Visual Studio Code, VS Code in the browser. Many other big companies, small companies are using web containers. It's from StackBlitz, and it's very awesome. Like, we need ideas like this. We need applications that are truly decentralized, and basically people run them either on a dedicated server or like we are trying to do on any device on the client side. So make the application small enough and you know, not as demanding resource wise, so that everyone can host a piece of the network, because we're talking about strength in numbers, right? We're not trying to get a huge amount of resources, you know, disk space from, you know, just a couple of servers to have a few nodes in a network. We're trying to use everyone. Like, I don't know, an old smartphone, right? Like, uh, you know, old Android phone or whatever that is very cheap today can also be a very reliable node in this infrastructure. Any computer can be part of this. Now, going back to what we're trying to do here, what is our task? Let's see. So we have the users, and now we're going to try and access the table that is responsible for, where is it? Let's see. Yeah, this user sets. Let's see if we have user sets. So select everything from user sets. Connections following pins. Okay. So basically what we want to do here is we want to create a query. So when we hit this plus here, we want to create a query that goes from the user that is authenticated to the user, the targeted user, right? But in order to do that, we first have to know which is which. We already have the code for, I'm going to shut this down. We already have the code for example, who is the user authenticated, the ID, and the session. All these three are required for any important action. And we need a couple of other things, right? Let's go to the profile. So we're gonna use this profile page for now. And what we need to do is update the name. We also have a title here that we don't need to update right now. We have the username, a place for the username, and this icon, this button right here is for follow or unfollow. This is for connection, basically like a friend request, like on Facebook, um, or disconnect, right? We have block for blocked, right? If you have blocked anyone as a user, or if you have other stuff. But we start with, okay. So let's see. What do we have to do? We have to create a request on the front end so that when I hit this plus button, but I think the logical way to start this would be to handle the request on the backend first. I think it's, let's see. Again, we're gonna do it in the user controller. So everything that we do about users, user actions, we're gonna do it in the user controller. Of course, all these functions will be, split into multiple components, because this is getting really huge and hard to manage. There's a lot of stuff in here. All right, so let's try and see. Update UI to show correct username and name on profile page. This is what we're doing next. Does Copilot know how to do this? Export. No. Mm, so what do we call this method? This method will be called, well, actually, before we do this, it's a good thing that I remembered. We have to do basically, let me just mute this for a second. Okay. We have to check something here. So we have to check if there's, select everything from user fault. So user fault is a table where we check if the user has any penalties, any prison time, or if the user is banned. And so yeah, the first thing that we want to do is check this table. This is the first, and in this request, this should act like a middleware for any other request. I mean, for most requests in the user controller. This is the first thing that we should check. Except for registration or session code or a few other requests that are basically trying to authenticate the user or register the user. This will have to be there. So okay, let's do it. Let's copy this, and where do we place it? I think is this is before I started using basically yesterday this Copilot, I'm always thinking like I'm very used to working with ChatGPT, and with ChatGPT is more like a conversation. It explains things in a conversation, and it's much more easier for me to digest. I think, I don't know. I guess I'm more like I like it more human when it's like more engaging, more conversation, right? This is more technical, and you have to really find small things that you can do with it. It's not as ChatGPT. But having said that, let's see. So we have these, and I do have an example of where is it? I do. I think I have an example here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, this is a query that I can use, right? So I can use this query directly in the terminal here, but this is not what I want to do. Okay, what do we want to do? We want to create a method that will be coming from the client, I guess. And we should call this method something like check fault. No, check user fault. Yes. Yes. Not from users. User fault. Okay. So it's accessing the rows. It's looking by username. User email split. I'm not sure what it's doing here, but I do like that it's using a filter, but I don't think it's using it the right way because I don't need this here. Faults, send back faults if there are any faults, I guess. Hmm. Okay, so we don't need this. No, it doesn't know the structure of the table. So what if we tell it the structure? If what if we say table columns? But I'm not gonna like this. And now, yes, let's see and send this. And we're doing check user faults. No, we're gonna say just check. Of course, we have to call it again in the app. Save and rerun. Okay. And we go to Postman and we do another request similar to this one, but check fault. Okay, the thing is, in here we have to send, it's gonna be a post. Okay, it's gonna be body raw JSON. So here is where we don't actually select everything. What do we check? We check everything, but we check it for the user. So the user will be something like, I guess, user const user. Yes. So it's very helpful that it knows, and it's pretty fast. It knows exactly what to select, but let's see. I do have to check const user ID, const token, say session. Good. So considering that, let's see if it knows what it user ID. Yes. What do we select? Everything? Yes, everything. In this case, yes. If I wanted to select a specific column, it wouldn't be correct, I guess. But let's go again from user fault, right? We don't have anything here yet. It's empty. So now we have all this. Syntax is correct. No TypeScript errors. What do we check? Try. Okay, so what I want to do now, I'm going to get it from front end. Okay, in fact, just making sure one thing here. So yeah, we don't have that anymore. So we're going to have to authenticate with this. this is gonna be, in order for me to authenticate with this, I have a table called private from private key app, and I have this share over here, which is one of the three shares, and two are required for the user, basically, or anyone that has two out of three shares, to reconstruct the private key when they are put together, and this method Shamir secret sharing is used. Okay, so we're going to send username. What is the username? Okapi. And token, I guess? Token? Yes, token. Session token. And finally, share. What was it? Oh, user ID. I didn't put the share in here. Let's make it more specific. Although for this operation, the share is not required. So we're just going to keep it like that. And get this share become token. Oh, we already have. Actually, we're going to do a switcheroo. User ID. Okay. Yeah, let's get this from here. Oh, sorry. Paste like this. Okay, there's some error, of course. Maybe we didn't save this. No, there's still something. So we're sending JSON check fold, check user fault, correct, false, correct. Oh, post. Yeah, this might be, but you never know until you try. Yet, or not, but still we're making progress. Okay, so what was the represents an error message from the server? Okay, where user ID equals what? Is it because of this? Actually, this is JSON, so but I do think that user ID equals maybe, like, what was the format in here? There you go. Placeholder. Maybe like this. Like, I think it worked, right? No faults. Like if we add a fault, it should say something, right? So let's try and insert maybe. Let's use this template that I have here. I'm gonna make user fault, user ID, and let's say ban. And the values are okay. I think we're gonna have to continue this tomorrow, but I think we got really close to do two important things for today. Of course, I will continue this, and tomorrow I think this might be finished, or we will do it together live in the third episode of this live stream. So thanks for following with me, guys, and this is um, a very ambitious mission, an open source mission. And if any of you are developers, don't be shy and try to reach out. And you know, I'm always open and eager to talk with like-minded individuals that want to contribute to open source technology and try to fix real problems, right, in the world. So thanks for watching, and until next time, cheers.